Elizabeth, and I run the blog Reviews of a Shameless Fangirl. You can find my written reviews at yafangirlreviews.blogspot.com. And today I'm going to be doing a booktube on City of Bones, Book 1 in the series The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. I've already done a written review on the blog, but I like doing a video so you can kind of visualize and see what my reactions were to the book. So I was a little bit behind on this series because I'd been hearing nonstop from my friends, from my cousins, from my family, how I had to read this book. It was going to be the best thing I ever read. I'd never be able to turn back. Anytime I asked for a book recommendation, I would hear Mortal Instruments, Mortal Instruments, Mortal Instruments. And I didn't really know what it was, to be honest with you. I didn't even really bother to look it up at first because typically when someone tells me that I'm going to like something, I tend to stay away from it. Only because when I hear something that's been built up so much, sometimes I'm concerned that by the time I read it, I'm going to be seriously let down because it was built up so high that if I don't feel that way about it, I'm going to think that it was pretty much awful. With this book, that was absolutely not the case. I was not disappointed by the book at all. When I heard that they were going to be doing a movie, is when I actually started getting into the book because I saw the trailers and I had kind of become relatively interested in the storyline, and I thought, okay, maybe now is the time to get into this book. That was a mistake. Maybe I should have stayed ignorant because by the time I finished that book, I wanted to throw it across the room and scream no in a manner only fit for Darth Vader. After I finished the book, I called pretty much everyone who had recommended it to me and gave them some serious shade. I was so mad. I wanted to know what happened next. I needed to know if it fixed itself, what was going to happen, was this going to change? I had to know now. They all decided not to tell me, which is probably, well, I don't know if it was the best decision because what happened next is that I binge read book 2, 3, 4 all within a week and a half, just to see if this would remedy itself. Luckily it did. But if you do not have the time to binge read the next 2 books, don't start. Because you're definitely, even if you don't like it, if you make it to the end, you're going to want to keep reading. I'm pretty sure of that. I know there are some people that didn't like the book. I was not one of those people. I did really like it, and I did keep reading with increasing frustration to find out what happened next. Overall, I definitely recommend this book. I thought it was a really unique way to insert a fantasy world that existed in parallel with our own. The Shadowhunters, the demons, the Downworlders, all of that, when I read the story and sort of immersed myself in that world, it started to feel like you could really turn the corner and not be aware that there's a Shadowhunter there with an invisibility rune. Obviously, I knew that was not the case, but it is nice when you can get lost in a world like that. It's certainly not the first story of its kind. The plot is, it certainly has some unique twists, like I mentioned earlier, that are probably going to piss you off, but overall, I think that it's pretty unique in the way that it breaches the subjects. It has vampires, demons, hunters, angels, pretty much any creature that you could imagine exists in this story, and it's really neat the way that they're portrayed and the way that they interact with each other, how they have these specific rules about how they can interact and that sort of thing. There are a lot of characters in the book that I really love. Simon Lewis is probably my favorite. I knew from the moment that I started reading the first chapter that I was going to love that character. His wit and his sarcasm is just, it's something that I really liked, I found funny. He actually had me laughing out loud when I was reading the book, and he had definitely some of my favorite quotes, which again you can also find in the print review that I've done on my website. Overall, definitely recommend the book. If you're a fan of young adult fantasy, I would say go ahead. I can't guarantee you're going to like it, obviously, but I think you should definitely give it a shot. But don't give it a shot unless you have the time to invest to keep reading, because you're going to want to keep reading. Definitely. Um, I'm not sure if I'm glad or not that I waited to get into the series, because the movie came out and I know that it didn't do very well. And I think that's because it strayed a lot from things in the book, and the big twist itself wasn't really well revealed. But they're doing a TV show now that's going to be coming out, I think, in January of 2016, and I'm actually really excited about that. From what I've seen, there are certainly some differences from the book already that you can see in the trailers, but I think that's okay. You can always diverge a little bit from the story as long as you kind of keep the heart of it and you don't change anything that's too earth shattering. So, yeah, City of Bones, The Mortal Instruments, definitely read it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, which is currently one of my higher ratings, though not the highest, which you can check out on the site yafangirlreviews.blogspot.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at yafangirlreviews. Thanks. Happy reading.